Welcome to the next installment of our top 100. So we're now at 60 to 51. I'm kind of telling you, these games are getting really good. Be sure to follow on the podcast as well if you're interested. We've done the top 50 there with me and Carla. But I am going to continue doing the top 50 on the YouTube channel as well. And the podcast is the Board Game Specialist in case you haven't visited that yet. So let's get started with game number 60. And that is Kero. Kero? It's for kerosene. So Kero? Anyways, whichever way you pronounce it, this is a really good game. So it's a 2-player only game. I bought this one at the flea market at Gobfest last spring. And it was just like at the end of the day, this guy had a couple games left. And I was like, okay. So I made him an offer. I knew nothing about this game. And then I took it home, opened the box, and then I squealed loudly. He was like, what is going on? The component in this game is amazing. And let me show you what that looks like. So each player gets this little truck. It's a tanker truck that has a sand timer in it. And the sand is your fuel. So when it's your turn and you're doing your move, and it's like Yahtzee style with the dice. So you roll the dice until you've rolled what you want to activate. But the whole time you're doing that, your tanker truck is standing straight up and you're spending the fuel. So you're trying to roll as fast as you can. And you can keep re-rolling as long as you want, as long as you don't run out of fuel. But if you roll, I think it's like a fire symbol, that locks your dice. So then it's like, okay, I'm done. And you kind of put your truck down. And then you'll kind of, okay, well, with this one, I'm activating this. I'm going to take that and so on. There's different cards you can collect that'll give you different abilities. Some of them will give you so that you always have a certain symbol available. I wasn't concentrating on that, and that was a mistake because you rely 100% on the dice then, and if you get a fire symbol and the dice is locked, like it really hurts. So it's good to get those ones. And then you have these little user symbol tokens that they're like members of your team. And you can send them into these 4 locations. And with those locations, this is like more like area control. So at the end of the round, you'll be able to, whoever has the most control on one location will gain that location. If nobody's there, nobody gets it. If it's a tie, nobody gets it. So you're trying to get the majority. And the round is determined as to when the round end is flipped over. Now you can also refill your truck, and when you do that, you would hold your truck on its nose so it's refilling it, but the other player in the meantime is rolling all the dice, and as soon as they roll all fire symbols, then you're done fueling up. So even if you haven't fueled your truck all the way up, it's like, okay, you're done. It's like, darn it, I was hoping for more. The whole thing was so cool. It was so neat. The components are amazing. The gameplay was super fun. The theme was cool. I really liked it. So that's why it's on my number 60. Number 59 is Dixit. Dixit's a bit of an older game, but this is one that, and it's funny, in my household, half of us love it. And I mean love it. And the other half won't play it. And I think it has to do with like the abstract thinking, right? Like you have all these abstract images and you got to come up with a definition of what, like, be like, okay, well, change in time or anything you can come up with. And then you would put a card that kind of has that for a theme, and everybody else is going to pick a card that also would fit the description you're giving. And then you shuffle all those cards and you put them out and you're trying to guess who said that, like who the active players, which one was their card. Now, if you're not the active player, you played a card, but people are voting for yours, you get points for that. But if everybody vote for yours because you were so obvious, you get no point. And that's the thing, that's where it's like coming up with the phrase, and then that's where some of my family members just really didn't enjoy it. But as I mentioned, some of us love it. And it's a really fun, neat game to play, in my opinion. And then you have your numbers. I'd be like, okay, well, I'm going to guess that number, like the card number 3 was the one that Patrick had put out for his description. and then you flip and it's fun. It is so neat. I love it. The artwork is gorgeous and whimsical. It's a neat game. And that's my number 59. So number 58, I have Raptor. So Raptor is another 2-player only game. And this one it's clever. And it's funny, I had heard a lot about this. And the first time I played it and I got reading the rules, it did not play at all like I thought it would. And this one has an element that reminds me of Get Bit a little bit if you've played that one. So the way that it works is you have 3 cards in your hand and you're going to pick one, put it face down, and that's the card you're going to play. The other player does the same. One player is the raptor, the mama raptor and the babies. The other one's the scientist. Mama raptor is trying to get her babies out of there to protect them. The scientist is trying to capture at least 3 babies so they can study them. So you're going to put your card down. Then you flip your card, and whoever has the highest number will so whoever has the lowest number gets to do the special ability on the card. So they'll do that ability. Now, whoever has the highest number will take the highest number, remove the lowest number. The difference is how many actions they can do. And depending on what side you are, what your actions are. So if you're like the scientist, you can shoot one of the raptors with a tranquilizer gun. If it's a baby, then it goes to sleep. If it's a mama, like it slows her down. You can grab a sleeping baby raptor. You can move. There's all those things. With the mama raptor, you can move the babies. You can move the mama raptor. Mama raptor can move further. You can eat a scientist if they're within reach. You can kind of use your tail to put out fire if there's fires and so on. It's a really interesting game. It's so enjoyable to play. And then what am I going to play? I don't want to play too low of a number, because what if they play a really high number? Then they get a lot of actions they can do. So I'm going to try to go midway, but then you're also limited to the cards you have in your hand. It's such a neat, fun game. That's my number 58, Raptor. Number 57 is Downforce. I got to play this one for the first time at FallCon over the summer. This is one that everybody talks about when you talk about what's a good race game, Downforce. So I was intrigued to try it because my kids really like the racing game theme. That's, Formula Motor Racing is one that we love, and Formula D is one that we love. So I really wanted to try this one, and I got to try it, and it's really good. So I bought my own copy, played it with my family, and they really like it. So with this one, you get like a hand of cards that have all these different color with a number on it. Now on your turn, when you're going to be playing that card, the first color of that card is going to move that number that's associated with it. Then the next one, and the next one, and the next one. So all the cards are going to move. Now, at the beginning of the game, you're going to bid on cards. So you can bid whatever you want, but keep in mind, you're going to have to pay that money out. So you bid on a card that you're going to own, and you want your card to win. But you're also bidding on the card at 3 different times during the race. You're going to bid on who you think is going to be the winner. And if you're correct in the top 3 position, if the one you bid on is in the top 3 position, you're going to win prize money for that. So at the end of the game, you win the bid money on what you bid. You win prize money if your own car that you own was one of the top 3. So you win money for that. Negative the amount of money you paid in your initial bid to purchase your race car. It's really neat because it's not really dependent on you winning. Plus, you can kind of block each other in corners and stuff. It's like, great, I can move red by 2, but red is stuck behind black, so it's not moving at all. So you're doing this as well. So the whole thing is really neat. We really enjoyed it. So that's my number 57, Downforce. In number 56 position, we're going to keep up with the car theme, apparently. And that is Kanban. So this is the version I have, the Automotive Evolution. I think this might have been the first one. Now, they've just reprinted it as Kanban EV, and it looks amazing. But let me show you what this board looks like. This is busy. And to look at it, this is a Vital Lacerda game. Vital Lacerda are known to be more complex game. And to look at this, you're like, whoa. Wow, I was terrified of playing this game. This is by far the game that has the highest complexity in my collection. And I've owned it for years before I kind of say, okay, let's give it a try. And it's more daunting looking than it really is, honestly. You have this kind of dark or thicker white line that kind of separates the section. So really there's like 7 actions you can do. And the actions, although they look busy, none of them are really complicated. But you got to do things in a certain order. So you want to create cars, you're going to need to have a plan. And then you're going to need to have parts. And then you're going to need to go and get it, kind of go through the production line so that you get this car produced. And then you're going to want to test it. And during this whole thing, you're going to be having meetings as well. And in those meetings, you're going to be like kind of picking on things that you want the meeting to reward. And it's like, okay, well, I'm doing pretty good on that, so I'm going to put that in the meeting to get rewarded for that stuff, and so on. And then you're going to want to upgrade your knowledge in each of the department and train yourself so that you're a little bit ahead in those different departments. And then you have Sandra, who is like an AI player in this, I guess. I'm saying AI. There's no intelligence or artificial there, but she's just like a dummy player that goes around to the next shift, and then she'll either reward or punish you depending on what you've done and accomplished and where she lands and where you are. This whole thing, like I said, looks complicated. It does look daunting, and when I played it, it was a lot simpler than I thought it was going to be, but it was neat. The whole kind of creating these cars in this factory it's a neat theme. And then have a lot of boys in my family, so that was one that won them over. So that was number 56, Kanban. Number 55 is Raccoon Tycoon. And this is a stock game. Is there auction? I don't know. So it's a stock game, and I was on a stock game kick there for a while. Now, I used to teach stocks and real estate investing, so I kind of like that genre. And this one was really satisfying. First of all, the components are great. You have a little wooden shaped component for each of the resources that you're going to be collecting and selling. So all the stocks you have, the commodities. And what's interesting is like you'll have a card and they'll have on the top the commodities you're going to get, and on the bottom or vice versa. But the ones that it's going to increase the price and the one you're going to collect, it's never the same. So you can't collect the one that you're increasing the price on. So you can be like, okay, well, I have a lot of the anvil shaped things, so I'm going to move that one up so that all the ones I have are worth more. And then it's going to give me a bottle and a red cube or whatever. And I don't remember what the red cube was, like goods or anyways. So then you're collecting these resources, and in the meantime, you're manipulating the price in the stock market for it. Then at one point you'd be like, okay, I'm going to sell because I got a lot of this and it's a good price. And then you sell. But when you sell, it devalues it. So then if the next person's like, I was going to sell that, now it's worth nothing. Okay, I'm going to wait. And then you kind of keep going. The whole thing is so neat. Plus you're collecting other card that has like the more you have of them, the more it's worth. The money. So it has like, I don't want to say paper money. It's like a glossed paper. So it is money, not tokens or anything like that, but the material of the money is kind of neat, so I'm enjoying it in this case. This whole game just works. The art is kind of like have these fancy Victorian style cats and dogs and raccoons and different animals, and it looks super cool, and the stock mechanism in here is really interesting. I really like it. So number 55, Raccoon Tycoon. In number 54 is Furnace. And actually just finished playing that one earlier today. I am loving this game, and the more I play, the more I like it. So with this one, it's a bidding game. So you have your tokens from 1 to 4, and they're different size to show you 1 to 4. And then on your turn, you're going to have the cards in the middle, depending on the number of players, how many cards there are. And you're going to put one of your token on the card. So whoever has, now you can only put your token on one card. So if you already have a token there, you can't put another token. You also cannot match the number that's already on the card. So if somebody played a 3, you can't put your 3 there. You'd have to put a 4, a 2, or 1. So you're putting these things on these cards. Now whoever has the highest token on that card will get the card. And on the bottom it has the actions you can do during the next phase. On the top, it has resources, and anybody who has a token on that card that didn't win the card will get to activate the resources. So if on there it says, okay, well, you get 2 coal, and I have my token that's a number 2, I get to activate that 2 times. So I would actually get 4 coals total. If I had a number 3, I would get to activate that 6 times. If I had a number 4 there, I wouldn't get to activate that because I would win the card in that case. So you're doing that, and then you're collecting all the resources that you win. Sometimes it's not a resource, it's a trade that you can do. So you can trade your coal to get a barrel. So you're doing all these trades. And then once that's all done, you get the cards, and then it's like engine building. And you look at the cards, you can activate 1 card at a time, do what the actions on it. Sometimes it'll give you resources. Sometimes it'll allow you to trade 1 resource for another resource. Sometimes it'll allow you to sell a resource for money. Now, with the money, you can't buy anything, but money is the victory point. That's the goal. It's the goal of the game is to try to end the game with as much money as you can. It's a simple game, but it's very interesting in the decisions you got to do. It's neat, and it's really satisfying to play, but it plays super quick because when you're doing this whole engine building thing, it's real time. Everybody's doing that at the same time, so then you're done. Okay, great, I'm done, and move on. So it makes the game really neat and fast, and there's no downtime with it. So super fun. Number 54 is Virtus. So my number 53 is Chinatown. I played Chinatown for the first time. A friend brought it over, and there was the 3 of us, and we played it, and I was like, oh, I really want this. And then somebody was selling a copy secondhand in an Edmonton group, which I'm not really close to, so I made arrangement for somebody to grab it for me, or I think he was coming to Calgary, so I made arrangement to pick it up from him, and it was still in shrink. Like, it was a brand new game, so it was great. Now with this one, this is a trading game and a negotiation game. So you start by getting cards, and those cards are going to tell you a number. So there's different district on the board, and the different numbers be like, okay, well, I now own this one. So you put your token on it to show that you own it. And then you're putting your token all over the place to show the different real estate that you own. You're trying to get clusters. And then you're going to get businesses. So you get these little cardboard tokens that have different business. And depending on what it is, you know, some will be like, okay, so if you want to do the florist, it's up to 4. So if you have 4 tokens of florist sharing aside, creating that cluster, that's at its max. So for every 1 tile you have, it's worth so much. If it's a cluster of 2, it's worth more. A cluster of 3 is going to be worth more. But if it ever reaches where it's complete, you can't make this one any bigger, this is as big as that particular business can get, then it's actually worth more than just the 3 cluster. So you're trying to get real estate together so that you can build business to create these clusters. So then after you've drawn your card, you have your new areas, and then you have your business, then you trade. It's like, I noticed you have 56 over there, and I could really use 56. I would like to propose a trade. Use 62 over there probably would be more advantageous, and I have that one, so should we trade? What do you say? It's like, throw in that business as well, and then I'll consider. No, I really need that business. All right, fine. Well, then give me this much money. It's like, oh, well, how about if I give you this much money? You know, so anything goes. So you do these negotiation. You're trading the rights to these land deed, and then you're trying to create clusters of business, and you can trade the business tokens as well. And then you're building these things, and you do multiple rounds, and then you score at the end of each round, and whoever has the most money at the end wins the game. It is satisfying. It's such a neat, satisfying, pure negotiation game. I love it. That's my number 53, Chinatown. 52 is Deception, Murder in Hong Kong. So I love this game. Every time I play it, I have a blast with it. But I have noticed when I'm playing this game, I trust nobody. I have serious trust issues when playing this game, and I'll be like, why are you saying that? Okay, that sounds very suspicious. And it was like, and everybody seems suspicious. So the way that it works is you'll have one person who will be the forensic scientist, and this person is giving out the clues. They know who the murderer is. They know what weapon was used and what was left at the scene of the crime. So, and the way that you do that is like everybody close their eyes at the beginning, then the murderer who has a card says, oh, you're the murderer, will kind of point at two cards in front of them. One's the murder weapon, one's another card of what was left behind. Everybody close their eyes again. And then the forensic scientists cannot talk. They have tiles in front of them and they have these little tokens they can put on it. Says, okay, well, the murderer took place at bed or in the evening. Okay, well, why are they saying in the evening? Well, you have a pillow over there. You have a pillow, bed, bedtime. So is that why? Or, you know, like so you kind of try to figure out what the clue, why they're giving the clues they're giving. They give multiple clues at once, and you're kind of, okay. So, death by suffocation. Well, it was like, so, like, based on the different clues, and you're looking at the cards in front of each people, and you kind of was like, okay, well, I think maybe because of this, now that person doesn't seem to have, so I don't think it's them. And then everybody's doing it, including the murderer. And the murderer is going to try to get people to put the suspicion on some other people. Now, there can also be us, depending on the number of players, and you have an accomplice. And the accomplice is also going to try to mess things up and keep it away from the murderer. Now, he could try to take the blame on himself and kind of seem suspicious, or they could try to put the blame on somebody else completely. And then you have a witness that knows who the murderer is, and the accomplice possibly, but they have no idea what weapons was used. And in order to win for the investigators, is you need to, because you can put like, okay, I'm going to spend my thing and I'm going to make an accusation. And be like, I think it's this person with that weapon and that item. But the whole thing needs to be correct. So if any one of those facts is incorrect, then the forensic scientist just says no. So now you don't know for sure, like, well, was I right with the person? Is he the murderer? Or am I completely off and it's not even the murderer? So says that, okay, and then you're going back to kind of giving the clues and looking at the suspects and what's on the table and what could possibly... It is fun. It's a neat game. I enjoy this one quite a bit. And that's my number 52, Deception, Murder in Hong Kong. Then, in number 51 position is Arch Ravels. I've played this one more and more this year, and then every time I play it, I like it even more. So first of all, components are so completely adorable. You have these little wooden tokens that are actually the little ball of yarn. And you're collecting your ball of yarn to try to crochet these different projects. And depending on what you have, it's like, okay, I'm going to make some mittens. And my formula is I need to have 2 purple and 1 green in order to make the mittens, because that's the way I've learned it. Now, I could spend a mitten that I've completed to learn the pattern so that I can do it with any color combination of 2 and 1. So then it gives you more freedom in what you can do. Also, the pattern you've learned is now worth a little bit more points as well. But the projects you've completed are worth points. And then you can actually spend these completed projects to fulfill an order that somebody has requested. Say, well, I would like a blanket and 2 teddy bears. So if you're able to fulfill that, then you get that order, and that's worth even more points. And it's really neat with the action, because you got the 4 action on your main board that you can do, and you have your little wooden token and be like, okay, I'm doing this one. Then on the next turn, you have to change the wooden token to a new action. You can go back afterwards, so you got to flip between the 4. One of them is you go to the market and you collect so many cards of yarn so that you collect yarn. One of them is that you craft so many projects. One of them is a combination of both, and one is that you get to exchange some of your yarn. Now keep in mind, it's not that worthwhile to hoard as much yarn as possible, because at the end of the game, any extra yarn you have is worth negative points. So you don't want to have more than you technically need. But the whole thing is so pretty. It looks great. It's simple to play. The components are super satisfying. The whole board, like you get these trays that kind of stores everything. That looks completely amazing. And it's just a great game. So that's my number 51, Arch Ravels. So be sure to follow the podcast if you want to see the top 50. Now, as I mentioned, I'll be doing the top 50 on the YouTube channel as well. But if you want to see what Carla's top 50, and you know what? We only got the 10 to go at this time I'm recording this video. And so far, we don't have any crossovers. So there's a lot of different games that made our top 50 there. So be sure to check that out. I am also on Instagram at Mel's_boardgame_room. And then my Facebook page is Mel's Board Game Room. And my YouTube channel is Mel's Board Game Room. So, bye everybody.